Yo, welcome to my channel and welcome to another Lakers postgame reaction. I'm Yovan Buha, Lakers beat writer for The Athletic, and I just got back to my hotel here in San Francisco from the Lakers 128-110 loss to the Golden State Warriors at Chase Center. LA dropped to 30-27. They had their 3-game win streak snapped, and most importantly for the West playoff picture, they are now only a half game ahead of the Warriors for that number 9 spot, and Golden State is technically a game ahead of them in the loss column with one fewer loss. This is a tough one for me to evaluate because there was no LeBron James, no Christian Wood, no Jared Vanderbilt, no Cam Reddish, no Gabe Vincent. The Lakers were down 5 rotation players, including 3.5 front court players. The only healthy available big men were Anthony Davis, Jackson Hayes, and Rui Hachimura. And I think the Lakers really felt it tonight. They gave up 15 offensive rebounds to an undersized Golden State team. They gave up 23 second chance points. And I think just collectively playing so small, playing so many 3-guard lineup minutes, playing some minutes with Taurean Prince at the 4, which just doesn't work. And as we know, Taurean's not a good rebounder. And despite I think he's a tough, gritty, hard-nosed player. He talked about it after the game that he has experience playing the 4. And if there is a matchup, you can theoretically get away with playing a bit smaller and playing maybe a wing at the 4 or an undersized wing at the 4, more so in Taurean's case. This was that type of matchup. But without LeBron and without their typical size, Golden State was able to match the Lakers essentially in the paint. Both teams had 58 points in the paint. Golden State out-rebounded them 48-41. The Lakers made 2 more free throws and attempted 7 more, but they only shot 67%, so they weren't really able to create an advantage there. And overall, Golden State just outshot them. They shot 39% on threes. The Lakers shot just under 29%. They were really efficient inside the arc, shooting over 60%. Well, this kind of came down to trading 2s for 3s on some level, and I think the Lakers made a bit of a mistake with their defensive game plan in the first quarter by having AD sit a little too low in the drop against Steph Curry pick and rolls. Steph got hot, scored 16 points in the first quarter, had 25 points in the first half. I think he made 5 of his first 6 threes. And part of that was just AD being a foot or 2 lower than he probably should have been ideally. And I think the Lakers kind of treated Steph like a normal shooter, like a normal point guard. The Lakers eventually adjusted, having AD play up to touch and starting to double and trap Steph a bit. But by that point, Golden State was already in a rhythm offensively. They were always 1 to 2 passes ahead of the Lakers. They got them in rotation, and the Lakers just didn't have the collective size and athleticism to really punish the Warriors or bother them much defensively. The Lakers also really struggled in the non-AD minutes. I think Golden State wisely attacked them, attacked the rim, put Jackson in difficult situations where he was trying not to foul, but then ended up giving up layups. Trace Jackson Davis, their late second-round pick rookie, sliced and diced the Lakers. He was incredible tonight. 17 points off the bench, his 24th birthday, but really 8 of 10 shooting. He just destroyed the Lakers inside as a roll man. And they really had no answer for him. And all of his baskets were basically dunks and layups. So the Lakers really defensively need to tighten things up, figure things out. But I don't think it was the best game plan tonight in terms of how they approached Steph. They let him get hot. And then once they adjusted, it was too late. And Golden State just had a flow offensively that the Lakers just couldn't contain. It didn't really make sense. And I felt like once Steph, and look, some of it was just Steph is a cheat code, and Steph can make shots from 30 feet, and Steph can make shots with 0.1 seconds of space and time to get it off. So he can do ridiculous things. So I don't want to say it was just the Lakers defense, but I do think they allowed him to get comfortable in a way that ultimately cost them. AD did have 3 blocks, but I just don't think it wasn't his best defensive performance, and collectively it wasn't the group's best defensive performance. And I kind of played into some of the struggles that they've had recently, just because this is a group that I just recently wrote about it. Since January 7th, which to me was a turning point for the Lakers, that was the game where they beat the Clippers. It was right after my report with Shams Charania about Darvin Ham and the disconnect in the locker room between him and several players, and how players were upset with their roles and didn't feel like things were consistent enough. From that point on, the Lakers were 13-7, and over that 20-game stretch, they were 8th in offense and 19th in defense. And this has been a trend recently, in part because Cam Reddish has been out, Jared Vanderbilt's been out, Max Christie's been out, Gabe Vincent's been out. I think those are their top four non-AD perimeter defenders have all missed significant time this season. In Max's case, not as much. He had just missed 3 games, but Vando obviously missed the first 20 games, and then now he's missed the last 7. Cam has missed, I believe, like 14 of the last 17 games or something. Might be 15 of 18 now. And then Rui, who isn't the best perimeter defender, but at least gives the Lakers some size and athleticism at either the 3 or 4 spot. He's missed some time. So I think the injuries have really mounted up on the defensive end in particular. And as the Lakers have leaned into their offense and going back to playing D'Lo and Austin together and going back to starting Rui and starting their 5 best players, their 5 highest paid players, Lakers don't have a traditional wing stopper in that lineup. They're relying a lot on Austin, Rui, and LeBron collectively stepping up. I think each of those guys has had solid defensive moments. I think LeBron, when he wants to really ratchet it up, can be an elite helper and low man guy, but he's kind of saving his legs defensively for the most part, and for high stakes situations and for the playoffs or for the play-in. Rui can get lost off the ball and isn't a great defensive rebounder. And then you have Austin, who I think really competes on the defensive end, but is at a physicality and athleticism disadvantage in a lot of matchups. So I think the Lakers, are leaning more into the offensive end, but the downside is their defense has not been good for going on almost 2 months now. And, they can outscore teams, but you have to shoot the ball well. You likely need LeBron James in most of those scenarios, unless you're just having a night like Boston where you're making 19 threes, or a night like Utah where, you're dropping almost 140 points. Like, it's got to be at a certain level to compensate for not having your best defenders. And even in that Boston game, in that first half, they did have Jared Vanderbilt before he got injured. And to me, he was arguably the best player in that half, the most impactful, just switching and being disruptive, and just his energy, and he was being aggressive offensively, and the Lakers have really, really missed him. So tonight, to me, again, like you judge the team that was out there, so I don't want to make excuses for the Lakers. I don't believe in making excuses. But at the same time, I think they were shorthanded, and in a way that really hurts them in this matchup, because the Lakers have always combated Golden State's speed and shooting and small ball with size and athleticism and smash mouth basketball and pounding them in the paint. And for Golden State to be able to match them, in part because LA didn't have LeBron, who lives at the rim against the Warriors, lives at the free throw line, and is really physical and dominant in these matchups. To not have a guy like Christian Wood, who's a really good defensive rebounder off the bench, and then they've been without Vando, they've been without Gabe, so I'm not factoring in those guys as much. But as of entering the All-Star break, like LeBron and Christian Wood were theoretically healthy. LeBron's been dealing with this ankle injury for a bit, but he is expected to play against San Antonio, so it's not that serious. I think it's more of a proactive measure right now from him and the Lakers. But this San Antonio game is a really big one. On paper, it's a relatively easy back-to-back. You're going back home. It's a short flight from San Francisco. You are playing a lottery team, one of the worst teams in the league. But San Antonio's kind of been playing better. Wemby is starting to figure things out. He's putting up these ridiculous 5x5 stat lines and 10 blocks. And, Taurean Prince talked about it after the game of just how the Lakers are going to have to be aware of where he is at all times. And he's the type of guy that defensively, like he makes you run things a certain way offensively. And guys are going to be second guessing going to the paint when he's out there. So I think the Lakers should be favored with or without LeBron against the Spurs, but I think they would love to have him back to help them win that game and get back in the win column and get back to the momentum that they were building right before the break. Before we wrap up, I want to hit on some of the injury updates from this game. So LeBron is day-to-day, but Darvin Ham said in all likelihood he's expected to play against San Antonio. Cam Reddish is day-to-day. Darvin didn't have an update on him as far as his availability for San Antonio. Max returned. I thought he played well. He had 6 assists, which I haven't checked, but I believe is a season high. Might be a career high. And I thought he played probably the best defense overall against Steph Curry, in my opinion. And I think it was encouraging to see the Lakers deploy him as the primary Steph guy. There were moments where they put Torian on Steph, which just to me made no sense. I think given the personnel that they had, I would have exclusively gone Austin and Max on Steph. Then Christian is still out for at least 2 weeks, and no updates on Vando or Gabe. Also, Anthony Davis did not speak with the media because he lost his voice. Darvin Ham said postgame that he felt AD's lack of a voice might have been a factor defensively just in terms of the Lakers' coverages and their communication. I can't confirm that AD sounded like Doc Rivers after smoking a pack of cigarettes. So it was a legitimate reason to not speak with the media. He did not have a voice, but it's just kind of another thing that the Lakers have had to deal with. It feels like every game there's a new injury, there's a new ailment, there's a new something that is affecting the team, and that they have to try and figure out how to overcome. That's going to do it for tonight's show. I will be back after the Lakers game against the Spurs on Friday night. So in about 24 hours or less at this point. I'm looking forward to that one. Again, LeBron is expected to play. We're getting LeBron versus Wemby. It's going to be a fun one. But the Lakers are in an interesting spot. Like I don't want to say it's a must win, but it's a must win. And you don't want to drop below Golden State. You don't want to drop back down to 10, because if you look at the 9 teams above them in that scenario, every team is playing well except for maybe Sacramento. So if the Lakers aren't careful, they can find themselves in the 10 seed sooner than later. And that's something that you don't want. They got a tough stretch coming up after San Antonio. They got Phoenix on Sunday and then the Clippers on Wednesday. It doesn't get much easier. So you got to take care of business at home if you're the Lakers against San Antonio. It is a really sneakily big game. Again, even with the opponent and the game coming at home. So that'll do it. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to do a post-game reaction after every single game. It is tough when I'm traveling. It is tough on a night like tonight when it's a back-to-back. But I've really been enjoying this. I've been enjoying the feedback from you guys. And I will be back tomorrow with a vlog. I took a lot of footage, so be on the lookout for that. I will also be back tomorrow with a post-game reaction after the game. And then Saturday, it's off to Phoenix. So thank you guys for tuning in, and I will talk to you soon.